The comment that shook Houston. One sentence changed the temperature of the entire Houston rap scene. What started as another loud online conversation suddenly turned into something much heavier, because this time, the names being mentioned were not random names. They carried history, reputation, and real weight in the culture. Sauce Walker stepped into a conversation that was already sensitive, talking about dangerous cities, rappers moving through different places, and the complicated politics that come with respect in hip-hop. But when the discussion turned toward Houston, J. Prince Jr., and Honeycomb Brazy, the internet immediately froze. Fans knew this was not just entertainment anymore. This was the kind of topic where every word gets clipped, reposted, judged, and twisted before the people involved even have time to explain themselves. The message spread fast. Some fans said Sauce was simply speaking his mind, giving his raw perspective like he always does. Others felt he crossed into dangerous territory by bringing certain people and families into a dispute that could have stayed between artists. And in hip-hop, especially in a city with Houston's history, respect is not just a word, it is currency. Once people feel disrespected, the conversation can move from music to reputation in seconds. Then Honeycomb Brazy's name became the center of the storm. Clips started circulating, voices got louder, and fans began picking sides. Was this about loyalty? Was it about street credibility? Was it about people feeling used in someone else's internet battle? Nobody had the full picture, but everybody had an opinion. And that is exactly why the situation exploded. It had all the elements that keep people watching: powerful names, old tension, public statements, and a feeling that one more response could push everything over the edge. So before we go deeper, let us know where you are watching from. Drop your city in the comments. If you think Sauce Walker went too far, press 1. If you think people are overreacting, press 2. And make sure you subscribe, because this story is far from simple. When respect becomes the real battleground. In hip-hop, the loudest argument is not always about the words being said. Sometimes it is about who gets mentioned, how they get mentioned, and whether that name should have been brought into the conversation at all. That is what made this situation so explosive. It was not just Sauce Walker talking online. It was the feeling that he had pulled respected names into a conflict that could quickly become bigger than the original problem. As the clips spread, fans started replaying every line. Some focused on the way Sauce spoke about cities like Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, and Houston. Others zeroed in on his comments about J. Prince Jr. and the idea that certain people had influence over what happened around them. To casual viewers, it might have sounded like typical rap commentary, but to people who understand Houston's music scene, those words carried a different kind of weight. Houston is not just another rap city. It is a place with deep history, powerful families, independent empires, and artists who built careers outside the normal industry system. So when a rapper speaks on Houston politics, people listen carefully. Every sentence gets measured. Every name matters. Then the conversation around Honeycomb Brazy added another layer. His name already brings strong reactions because his story has been tied to pain, loyalty, survival, and public controversy. When Sauce's comments connected with Honeycomb Brazy's situation, fans immediately felt the tension rising. Supporters started asking whether Sauce was defending himself, warning someone, or simply reacting emotionally. At the same time, critics argued that taking this kind of dispute online only makes things worse. They believe that once respected elders, families, and street reputations get pulled into public drama, the internet stops being a place for discussion and becomes a pressure cooker. That is when people began asking the real question. Was Sauce Walker trying to stop the situation from escalating, or did his words accidentally pour more fuel on the fire? The internet turns a spark into a firestorm. The moment screenshots and clips started moving across social media, the story became impossible to control. One person posted a short clip, another added their own caption. A reaction channel broke it down. Then fans on every side began filling in the blanks with theories, assumptions, and old history. Within hours, the situation had transformed from a heated conversation into a full-blown online firestorm. What made it worse was that the internet rarely waits for context. People heard Sauce Walker's tone, saw the names involved, and immediately started building their own version of the story. Some said he was standing on business. Others said he was being reckless. Some believed he was trying to protect his name from being tied to something he did not want attached to him. Others believed he had made the situation more public than it ever needed to be. Honeycomb Brazy's supporters were especially vocal. To them, This was not just about a viral moment. This was about respect, loyalty, and the way people speak on someone whose life has already been surrounded by serious struggle. They did not want his name used like a prop in another rapper's online battle. Meanwhile, people connected to Houston culture began warning that public disrespect can have consequences beyond comment sections. They were not necessarily calling for conflict. Many were actually hoping for calm, but they understood that words spoken online can create real pressure offline, especially when pride, reputation, and community respect are involved. Then came the talk that Sauce Walker may have reached out, or that people close to the Prince family became aware of the situation. That changed the energy again. Fans started wondering if respected voices would step in to cool everything down, or if bringing more names into the conversation would only make the drama deeper. At that point, everyone was watching the same question unfold in real time. Could this be contained before it became something bigger? The boundary was drawn. Then came the response that made everyone stop scrolling. A respected voice connected to the Prince family reportedly made it clear that they did not appreciate being dragged into a situation that had nothing to do with them. The message was direct, firm, and impossible to ignore. It was not delivered like a casual internet comeback. It sounded like a boundary. That is what changed the entire conversation. Before that, fans were mostly debating Sauce Walker and Honeycomb Brazy. But once the idea of the Prince family being mentioned entered the discussion, the stakes felt higher. Houston fans know that the Prince name is connected to decades of music, history, influence, and power. So when someone from that circle appears to say, "Do not put my name in this," people pay attention. Some fans interpreted the response as a warning. Others saw it as an attempt to shut down the drama before it grew legs. Either way, the meaning was clear. Not every rap disagreement needs to involve outside names, especially names that carry real history in the city. This is where the online debate split into two sides. One side said the response was necessary because respect has to be protected. They argued that if people let their names get tossed around in public disputes, the internet will keep pushing narratives until nobody knows what is true anymore. The other side believed that responding publicly only gave the story more oxygen. They felt that the more people reacted, the more fans would clip, remix, and exaggerate the situation. In their eyes, silence might have been the smarter move, but silence is hard when reputations are involved. In hip-hop, especially in a city like Houston, people do not always have the luxury of ignoring public comments. Sometimes a response is not about chasing attention. Sometimes it is about making sure everyone knows where the line is. And once that line was drawn, the internet knew this story had entered a new chapter. Sauce Walker, under the microscope. After the response began circulating, Sauce Walker became the main target of online analysis. Every old interview, every past disagreement, every emotional live stream, and every public statement was suddenly brought back into the conversation. Fans were no longer looking at one moment. They were building a timeline. Some people argued that Sauce Walker has always been an outspoken figure. They said his personality is loud, intense, and unfiltered, which is exactly why his supporters love him. He speaks with passion, he does not hide his opinions, and he often addresses conflict directly instead of dancing around it. But that same style can also create problems. When an artist speaks with that much energy, especially about sensitive topics, the message can easily be interpreted in different ways. What one fan sees as honesty, another fan sees as disrespect. What one person hears as confidence, another hears as provocation. That became the heart of the debate. Was Sauce simply defending his position, or was he allowing emotion to push him into a bigger mess? Some fans believed he wanted to avoid escalation and was trying to keep the issue from spreading into something more serious. Others thought his public approach made the situation harder to calm down. And then there was the question of Honeycomb Brazy. People kept asking why his name became so central to the conversation. Was it because of loyalty? Because of old tension? Because of outside influence? The details were not fully clear, but the emotional reaction online showed that fans felt protective over the story. At the same time, more mature voices in the community reminded everyone to separate confirmed facts from speculation. They warned that online drama can easily become dangerous when fans start treating rumors like evidence. In this situation, that warning mattered, because the truth is, the internet does not just report drama anymore. It feeds it, shapes it, and sometimes pushes people into responding before they are ready. Honeycomb Brazy's name carries heavy weight. Honeycomb Brazy's name is not one that people hear casually. For many fans, his story represents pain, survival, loyalty, and controversy all at once. That is why every mention of him in this situation hit harder than a normal rap disagreement. It felt personal, even to people watching from the outside. When his name appeared in the middle of Sauce Walker's public conflict, fans immediately reacted with intensity. Some felt that Honeycomb Brazy was being unfairly pulled into a situation that should have stayed focused on the people actually speaking. Others believed his role in the conversation mattered because the dispute seemed connected to loyalty, protection, and who stands with whom when pressure rises. The internet did what it always does. It turned emotional history into debate content. Reaction pages began framing the situation like a showdown. Comment sections filled with people arguing about who was real, who was wrong, and who had the right to speak on certain matters. But underneath all that noise was a much deeper issue: the way public figures carry personal pain into a space where millions of strangers feel entitled to judge it. That is what made this situation so uncomfortable. It was not just entertainment. It involved real people with real histories, real families, and real consequences attached to the way their names are used. When fans forget that, the conversation becomes careless. Still, the story kept growing because Honeycomb Brazy's name brought emotional weight. His supporters wanted respect. Sauce's supporters wanted context. Houston fans wanted the situation handled carefully, and neutral observers simply wanted to know what would happen next. By this point, the drama had become bigger than any single clip. It had become a test of how hip-hop handles conflict in the social media era. Can artists settle issues without turning everything into a public performance? Or has the internet made private peace almost impossible? Houston becomes the center of the conversation. As the story spread, Houston itself became part of the debate. People were no longer just talking about Sauce Walker, Honeycomb Brazy, or the Prince family. They were talking about the city's reputation, its rap politics, and the way outsiders misunderstand how much respect matters there. Houston has always been different. It is independent, proud, and deeply connected to its own culture. Artists from Houston do not need approval from the rest of the industry to feel important. The city has its own legends, its own sound, its own rules, and its own power structure. That is why when conflict touches Houston, fans treat it differently. Some online commentators tried to reduce the situation to simple internet drama, but Houston fans pushed back. They argued that this was not just about viral clips. It was about how people move, how people speak, and how names with long-standing respect should be handled. At the same time, others warned against making Houston look more hostile than it really is. They pointed out that the city has welcomed countless artists, celebrities, and creators over the years. The issue, they said, is not Houston itself. The issue is how people behave when they enter sensitive spaces without understanding the history behind them. That distinction became important. Many fans did not want the conversation to turn into fear-based storytelling about the city. They wanted people to understand that respect and awareness go a long way. Most problems begin when people speak too loosely, move carelessly, or let social media pressure create unnecessary tension. That is why the Sauce Walker situation hit such a nerve. It reminded people that in hip-hop, location matters, relationships matter, history matter, and when a rapper speaks on a city like Houston, every word carries a shadow. By now, the internet was not just watching a disagreement. It was watching a cultural lesson unfold in real time. Fans keep digging for hidden meanings. Even when the main voices seem quieter, the fans refused to let the story die. Every new post was examined. Every old clip was reposted. Every facial expression, caption, and interview line was treated like a clue. The internet had turned the situation into a puzzle, and nobody wanted to be the last person to solve it. Some fans believed there were hidden messages in almost everything. A vague post could become a response. A song lyric could become a threat. A podcast comment could become proof of a deeper conflict. This is how online drama survives. Even when nothing new happens, the audience keeps creating new angles. But that also made the situation more dangerous from a reputation standpoint. The more people speculated, the harder it became to separate truth from fiction. One fan would claim the issue was already settled. Another would say it was only getting started. A third would bring up old history and connect it to the current conversation, even if there was no confirmed link. For Sauce Walker, that meant staying under the microscope. For Honeycomb Brazy, it meant his name continued being discussed even when the facts were not always clear. For the Prince family, it meant their reputation was being pulled into endless commentary, even though the core conflict may not have required their involvement at all. This is the strange power of social media. It can keep a story alive long after the people involved might want it to fade. It rewards reaction, not resolution. The loudest voices get attention, and the calmest voices often get ignored. Still, some fans began calling for peace. They said the culture did not need another public conflict turning into something heavier. They wanted everyone involved to step back, protect their futures, and let the music matter more than the drama. But whether peace could win depended on one thing: who would speak next? Is the fire finally burning out? By the time the story reached this point, everyone was asking the same question. Is this situation finally calming down? Or is one more comment about to restart everything? That uncertainty is exactly what kept fans locked in. Nobody wanted to look away too soon. For now, there has been no clear sign that the public discussion has moved beyond words, reactions, and online debate. That matters. In a story filled with strong emotions, powerful names, and serious reputations, the best outcome is always for people to step back before the internet pushes them into unnecessary conflict. But even if things are quieter, the tension has not completely disappeared. Fans are still watching Sauce Walker's pages. They are still looking for any sign from Honeycomb Brazy. They are still checking whether anyone connected to the Prince family says something new. In today's hip-hop media world, silence does not always mean the story is over. Sometimes it just means people are choosing their next move carefully. The bigger lesson is clear. A few words online can become a full cultural event when the people involved have history, influence, and passionate fan bases. What begins as one comment can turn into days of reaction videos, debates, accusations, defenses, and theories. And once that machine starts moving, it is almost impossible to stop. This situation also shows why artists have to think strategically. Being bold can build a brand. Speaking honestly can earn respect. But when sensitive names and cities enter the conversation, the cost of being misunderstood becomes much higher. At the end of the day, the fans want answers. The culture wants entertainment. But the people involved have to live with the consequences after the cameras stop recording. Whether this chapter closes peacefully or reopens with another response, one thing is certain: Houston rap politics, respect, and reputation will always command attention. And if one more public statement drops, the entire internet will be right back where it started, watching, reacting, and waiting for the next spark. The bigger lesson behind the drama. The loudest part of this story was never just the names. It was the warning hidden underneath the noise. Sauce Walker, Honeycomb Brazy, the Prince family, and the city of Houston all became part of a bigger conversation about respect, reputation, and how quickly hip-hop conflict can grow when social media gets involved. Strategically, this situation shows how dangerous public statements can be when emotions are high. In the old days, a disagreement might have stayed behind closed doors. Someone could make a phone call, clear the air, and stop the problem before the public ever knew. But now, one clip can reach thousands of people before the full context is even understood. Once fans start reposting, reacting, and choosing sides, the people involved no longer fully control the story. That is why artists have to move carefully. Speaking boldly can make people respect you, but speaking too loosely can create problems that become bigger than the original issue. In hip-hop, credibility matters. Loyalty matters. But timing, tone, and wisdom matter too. Sometimes the strongest move is not the loudest response. Sometimes the strongest move is knowing when to step back. The lesson here is simple but powerful. Protect your name, but do not let the internet push you into destroying peace. Every artist involved has family, a future, and a life beyond the comments. Fans may want drama, but real people have to carry the consequences. The culture does not need more division. It needs more leadership, more maturity, and more people willing to choose conversation before conflict. For Sauce Walker, this moment is a reminder that passion can inspire people, but it can also be misunderstood. For Honeycomb Brazy, it shows how much emotional weight his name still carries. For Houston, it proves once again that the city's reputation is powerful, respected, and deeply protected by the people who understand its history. At the end of the day, the best outcome is peace. Not silence out of fear, but peace through wisdom. Handle issues directly. Respect the people who came before you. Do not let outsiders, blogs, or comment sections turn misunderstanding into something worse. If you believe this situation should end peacefully, press 1 inch the comments. If you think someone still needs to speak out, press 2. Tell us where you are watching from. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with someone who follows real hip-hop stories.